Hello, everybody. This is John Resnick, and I serve as Assistant Vice Chancellor for Global Affairs here at ECU, and I'm excited to host our first Wanderlust Wednesday event this week. And as many of you know, Wanderlust Wednesday is our virtual study abroad fair this year. We're doing three separate days in September, late August and September, and then we're doing three separate days again in October. So today we have two special guests for our partnership session, and those two guests are Jess Taylor from UNC Charlotte, who will tell you a little bit about the semester in Spain program, and Katrina Henderson from UNC Bloomington, who will talk about the semester in Paris session. Before we get started with Jess, though, I just want to make sure that everyone understands that at this point in time, study abroad is still in a state of flux due to the COVID-19 pandemic. At this time, we have no students abroad, and we may or may not have students go abroad this spring, and summer is also to be determined at this stage. But I wanted to let everyone know that the decisions to send students abroad will be based on CDC guidelines and also UNC System Office guidelines. Our top priority is the health and safety of our students, and we want to make sure that we're comfortable and you're comfortable going abroad before we send you on some of our exciting programs, two of which we'll hear about today. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Jess Taylor at UNC Charlotte to talk about the semester in Spain. Thank you again for attending today, and I hope that today's sessions are quite informative. I'm sure they will be. Thank you.
All right, thanks so much, John. So hi, everybody. My name is Jess Taylor, and I'm the Education Abroad Advisor at UNC Charlotte. So the reason you're hearing from me today is because UNC Charlotte's Office of Education Abroad manages the Semester in Spain Santander consortium program. And this program is open to a lot of institutions in North Carolina. So we're going to talk more about how you can get involved if it's something that you think might fit your academic and personal goals while you are pursuing your undergraduate degree. So the Semester in Spain program is a Spanish language and culture consortium program. And I want to kind of go over very briefly some of the highlights of the program. So when we say consortium, what we mean, again, is that it's open to a lot of North Carolina students. So when you participate in this program, you will be participating in the program with other American, assumingly, North Carolina students. And so we typically send students from ECU, NC State, UNC Asheville, and a couple other institutions within the state. And then, of course, UNC Charlotte students. It is technically categorized on our end as a faculty-led program. And what we mean by that is there will be a faculty member abroad with you from one of the universities in North Carolina that participates in the consortium. So this faculty director will be on site for the duration of the program, which this program takes place either the fall or the spring semester. And the role of this particular faculty director is to not only get you started, so they meet you at the airport, they pick you up, get you settled in your housing, and then are offering support throughout the duration of the program. They're also co-teaching one of the courses alongside the other faculty. So this program does take place in Santander, Spain, which you can see is right at the north end of the country, right on the coast. And you will actually be taking your courses at the Universidad de Cantabria. We call it UC for short. And if you spend a semester at Universidad de Cantabria via the Semester in Spain program, you'll be taking Spanish language and culture courses specifically. And we'll talk more about the course offerings in just a moment. But this program really is best suited for intermediate Spanish learners. So if you are at an advanced level or if you're a native Spanish speaker, it really won't be a program that's going to be a good academic fit for you. So if you're in the 200, 2000 intermediate level, this is definitely the program that might work for you academically. This program takes place in Santander during the fall and the spring semester, and the length of the program is less than 90 days. And why that is significant is because if you are a US citizen, and if you are in Spain or the Schengen territory, which consists of countries, several countries within the EU, such as Spain and Italy, France, etc., If you are there for less than 90 days, you do not need to apply for a visa. So that eliminates the sometimes obstacle of not only paying to apply for a Spanish visa, but typically to apply for a Spanish visa, you have to travel to the nearest embassy that's located in the US. And for most students, that tends to be Washington, D.C. So that eliminates those expenses as well associated with having to actually physically go to the embassy to apply for your visa. But on the flip side, too, because you are not able to or eligible to apply for a visa because the length of the program is less than 90 days, you are not able to arrive early in Spain or any of the countries that are a part of the Schengen territory, nor can you remain in Spain after the end date of the program, again, or any country that's within the Schengen territory. So let's talk a little bit about Santander, Spain. As I mentioned, it's the north part of Spain. It is right on the coast. It is one of the most beautiful cities you could ever imagine. These photos are gorgeous, but they really don't even give it justice. The great thing about Santander is that it's not a small city by any means, but it is not an extremely large international city the way that Barcelona or Madrid might be perceived. And that's great because this program is an intensive Spanish language and culture program. And so you will be living in a city that is very authentically Spanish. Actually, a lot of Spaniards typically tend to visit Santander as a tourist destination. So it is very authentically Spanish, and it is really a medium-sized city, so it's really easy to get around. You can walk almost anywhere, or they have a really fantastic bus public transportation system. So in terms of the courses that you are eligible to take with this program, there are 5 offered in total, and they are offered in Spanish, which if you were going to be taking the equivalent of those courses at your home institution, they would equally be taught in Spanish as well. So I know that can kind of freak you out when you first hear that, but this is the natural progression of the Spanish curriculum. So students are required to take the 2 courses you see there, the Intensive Spanish Grammar 1 and 2. So you will take those 2 courses. And then in addition, you can choose either 2 or all 3 of the electives that you see. So you can choose Spanish literature, Spanish history, and or Spanish art and geography. And so I will provide the link to where you can really learn more about this program after I wrap up. And that is where you can see the course descriptions, and you can always meet with your study abroad office at your university to really better understand what credit you would receive if you take these courses abroad. But generally, for most students, they are able to obtain their Spanish minor in just 1 semester, as long as they meet the prerequisite courses of the program, which we'll talk about. So it's really awesome. You can knock out your minor in just this 1 semester in Santander, Spain, or if you're a Spanish major, you can knock out up to 15 credit hours towards your Spanish major. So in terms of program costs, this program is extremely cost effective. The cost of living in Santander is much lower than a lot of cities here in North Carolina. And so the way that structurally the cost will work is that you will pay a program fee to our office, the Office of Education Abroad at UNC Charlotte. That program fee is going to cover really almost everything that you're going to need once you're on site. So it covers tuition and fees at the Universidad de Cantabria, and it also covers your housing for the duration of the program, which is a homestay. And so the homestay is the only accommodation option that we offer, but we do that intentionally because, as I mentioned, this is a Spanish language and culture program. What better way to learn Spanish language and culture than to live with a local Spanish family that's really going to help you improve your Spanish language proficiency, and they're really going to give you some insight into Spanish culture that you wouldn't really be able to receive otherwise. Then you're also going to have 3 meals per day that are going to be included in the program. And so because you're staying with a local Spanish family, they are going to be providing you and cooking you authentic Spanish meals, and those meals are going to be, of course, included in that program fee. The program fee also includes a round-trip group flight from Charlotte to Madrid, so that's something that you don't even need to worry about. You can opt out of this group flight. So if, for example, you have points that you want to use to be able to purchase your flight, you can opt out of the group flight on our end and go ahead and purchase the flight on your own, as long as it's within the confines of the dates of the program. International health insurance is also included in this program as well, which is a very comprehensive policy that's going to cover really any medical procedure or anything related to that you might find yourself in abroad. Excursions are also included in this program. So throughout the duration of the program, you might go to a nearby city in Spain for just a day trip or maybe a weekend trip. Those excursions are determined by the faculty director each semester. Laundry services are included once per week, and there is an OEA study abroad administrative fee that is paid to our office as well that is already built into that program fee. That goes towards all the services that we're providing the students that are applying and participate in this program. So the things that are not included are things like your passport, books and supplies, which is typically very minimal. The last I heard, I think the book that's required for one of the courses is about €50, maybe even less, that you can obtain when you're there in Spain. Out-of-pocket medical expenses is something you want to be prepared for because while your comprehensive health insurance is going to cover most of your medical expenses, you may have to pay out of pocket up front and then get reimbursed later. We also tell students to be very much prepared for any emergency expenses. While we hope that this doesn't happen, you just always want to be prepared in the off chance that it does. And then of course, thinking about personal travel, if that's something that you'd like to do in your spare time, and then travel insurance as well. If you are a financial aid or scholarship recipient, you can utilize your funds to put them towards the program fee. We can be pretty flexible with you all. We do collect an application fee and a program deposit up front, but the remainder of the program fee, we can work with you on a payment schedule, or we can defer those payments until your aid is received. In terms of eligibility, you are required to have a 2.5 cumulative GPA at time of application or higher. You also are required to have completed 4 college-level Spanish courses prior to departure. And then, of course, you need to be in good disciplinary standing both at time of application and prior to departure. And then last, of course, you're going to need to work with your home university study abroad office to ensure that you receive approval from them to participate in this program. So you can learn more by clicking this following link, or I'm sure your study abroad office can provide you with this information. Or of course, if you're watching this, you can just type it into the URL. But this program brochure is really going to give you all of the information that you need to know about this program, going a little bit more in depth beyond what I just mentioned today. So semester in Spain is a really great option if your goal is to learn Spanish language and culture. And so just touch base with your study abroad advisor to learn more about how you can begin the process of applying. So thank you guys so much. And then I'm going to hand it over to my colleague Katrina to talk about another really great program in France.
All right, great. Thanks so much. Hello, everyone. My name is Katrina Henderson. I'm the Assistant Director for Education Abroad at UNC Wilmington. And today we're going to explore NCM Paris, which is also a consortium of several universities in North Carolina, including ECU. UNC Wilmington is the coordinating institution for this program in Paris. The program office and the Sorbonne are located in a beautiful urban setting in the heart of the Latin Quarter. All students must be enrolled in 6 hours of French language study at the Sorbonne. In addition, the Engagement in Paris course is designed to get you out of the traditional classroom to engage with Paris. Students also choose 2 elective courses from either the French language track or Global Studies track, which offers coursework taught in English. Elective course offerings vary by semester, but here are some examples. More details about these courses can be found on our program website. The engagement course is offered in both French and English for the Global Studies track, and in option A, Sustainable Urbanism, students will walk specific areas of Paris to learn how current environmental issues are impacting Parisians and how they're working to be more environmentally friendly. In option B, the French educational system, students will work as an English language teaching assistant in a French middle school, observing and helping the instructor plan activities with the students in the class. Option C, service learning, here with non-governmental organizations to learn about community services, the migrant crisis, generation gaps, awareness of disabilities, waste and recycling, how food banks operate, and more. Option D, finally, urban agriculture. Students volunteer on a local Parisian farm for first-hand experience in sustainable food sourcing in an urban setting. students will participate in all aspects of farming, including communication and marketing of the farm. During a typical semester, there are multiple day trips and activities, museums, lectures, walking tours, and visits to Versailles, and at least one weekend trip offered per semester, either to Normandy or the Loire Valley. There are 3 accommodation options throughout Paris to choose from. Students can live in homestays, either in central Paris or greater Paris in the Parisian suburbs. There are also foyer residences, which are single rooms throughout the city as well. All options have varying costs to consider. And these are the coordinators on the ground in Paris. They coordinate the courses, and the faculty arrange accommodations as well as the arrangements for the program field trips and excursions. And they're happy to assist as you adjust to your new life in Paris. And to be eligible, you just need to be a degree-seeking student, have at least sophomore status at the time of participation, be in good judicial standing, have at least a 2.5 GPA at the time of application. You will need to have completed beginner college level French language, which is at least 2 semesters typically, or the equivalent at your university. And then, of course, you just need the approval of your ECU Education Abroad advisor. The program dates follow a typical U.S. calendar, September to mid-late December, and early January to mid-late May. The deadlines are April 1 for fall and October 1 for spring, but just note that ECU deadlines will be much earlier for you. So check in with your ECU Education Abroad advisor about that. Program costs and details can be found on our website, and we do break down the program fee and accommodation separately because the accommodation costs vary based on your choice of those 3. But yeah, as you can see, a typical program fee would include tuition, insurance, a welcome and farewell dinner, excursions, and your cultural activities. But the additional costs you'll want to prepare for would be your accommodation and meals, your international airfare, your passport, your visa, your local transport for around the city and traveling on your own, and then just your personal daily expenses. Just a note about the current COVID situation, participants for the upcoming semesters will require quite a bit of flexibility. Program changes will be necessary to our usual accommodations and excursions that we've talked about just for safety reasons. We're in the process of making those changes now, but again, we will communicate those with your ECU advisor. So how do you get started? Your first step will be to meet with your ECU Education Abroad advisor, and they can help you get started on the right track, meet all the deadlines, and give you all the information that you need. And then they will point you in the direction of our UNCW application, and those pieces can all be submitted online. It's quite simple. And then you're going to want to check out our website. You can follow this link, or if you just want to, it's much simpler to just Google NCM Paris and follow it from there. But I am always happy to help answer any questions that you might have, and this is my email. All right, thanks so much.
Thank you so much, Katrina and Jess. We do have some questions as I'm trying to push myself live. The first question, though, is for Jess, and it's what happens, what if I am already fluent in Spanish? Jess, I think you're muted.
There we are. Good? Okay, sorry guys. If you are a native Spanish speaker, or if you're very fluent in Spanish, / if you're taking really advanced Spanish language level courses, then I would advise you against pursuing the Semester in Spain program, simply because it really is geared towards students that have just surpassed the beginning level of Spanish. They're at the 200/2000 level at their home institutions. And so, and for that reason, also, you would be receiving 300/3000 credit. So it's different in terms of how that translates at everyone's home institution. So if you are way more advanced in Spanish, I don't know that this would necessarily be the best academic fit for you. I would encourage you to maybe touch base with if you have a Spanish academic advisor and / your study abroad office to kind of discuss more what might be the best fit for you.
And then this next question I think would be good for both of you, but since I already have you live, Jess, you can start and then I'll switch over to Katrina. But is there a time for independent travel on your program?
Absolutely, yeah. When you're not in class and when there's no mandatory meeting or excursion, you are free to do, whatever you please, as long as you're being safe and you're alerting the faculty director on site if you're going to be leaving Santander, and that's not, for any other reason other than risk management and to make sure that they're, aware of your whereabouts. So on the weekends when you have time, and typically within the fall semester and the spring break, and the spring semester, you'll have something similar to a fall/spring break. So you'll have quite a few days consecutively where you could do some traveling as well. So I encourage you to do that if that's something that you are able or interested in doing, as long as you're doing it safe and keeping all the on-site staff aware of your whereabouts.
Right, and I would say exactly the same thing actually that Jess just said. We have plenty of opportunities. Students have a lot of free time on weekends. Whenever there isn't a program activity, they can travel. Our students travel all over Europe as much as their budget allows. And just like the Spain program, our students are required to check in with the program director for any weekend travel. They have to register that for safety reasons and risk management. But yeah, they are allowed probably much the same spring break in the spring as well.
There's another question that popped up that would be good for both programs to address, but are there any extra safety precautions being taken concerning foreign travel?
Yeah, I think there's probably going to be a lot depending on what the spring ends up being and summer. So we are abiding by all the guidelines, CDC, World Health Organization. So we're monitoring the situation, as I'm sure Charlotte is as well. And then within our own Paris program, yes, we are monitoring that and making accommodations, as I mentioned, making changes to the program to be as safe as possible, almost daily, I feel like.
Yeah, and I would echo the same, as Katrina mentioned. We're already in contact with our on-site staff at the Universidad de Cantabria, which they handle a majority of the logistics when it comes to anything happening on site. And so, as Katrina mentioned, what everything looks like now might be very different a couple of months from now. So we're trying to think ahead, think strategically, and it's all surrounded with the same goal of keeping you as healthy and as safe as possible. So we'll definitely be, I'm sure I speak for Katrina as well, be very transparent and let you all know if you apply to the program what we're specifically doing and what procedures we have in place.
Great, thank you. And then one last question to just wrap it up. I think it'll be good for both of you if you guys have some comments, but what would be the benefits of participating in a consortium program? And Jess, if you could start.
Sure. So specifically with Semester in Spain, you'll be taking courses with other students that are at the same language level as you. Most likely they're American, and they're from, universities that are in the state of North Carolina. So you're already kind of starting at a similar baseline with other students in the program. And it is kind of like a cohort type of feeling. So you'll have the support of being in class and participating in the program with these students. And then on top of that, you have that faculty director that is on site with you for the duration of the program. And they're bilingual. So if you have any issues, you need translation help for whatever reason, they're going to be there to support you. If you have to go to the doctor, if something happens, they're going to be that advocate for you on site that can assist you 24/7 emergency assistance. So I would say for that reason, Semester in Spain is a really great option for students that kind of want a little bit more of that comfort of having that common language with other students in the program, but also are prepared to be pushed to really learn and immerse themselves in Spanish language and culture.
Thank you. And Katrina?
Yeah, so exactly. I would say much the same thing. It's having a consortium program, especially one with some very great schools. I know it's been very comforting for some of our students who are hesitant to travel abroad if they know that there's going to be a little bit of North Carolina in Paris with them. And I think that they get the benefits on our program, a little bit of both worlds, because they are taking French language courses with students from around the world who are in Paris to learn French. But then their electives, their common classes will be with their fellow students. So a different comfort level there.
Thank you both so much. I want to thank everyone for joining us today. I do want to highlight some of our upcoming events for the rest of today's Wanderlust Wednesday activities. At 4 o'clock, we will have our general information session talking about study abroad through ECU. At 5 o'clock, there will be a regional highlight talking about all of the available programs within Western Europe. And then at 7 p.m., there will be a special session on financing your study abroad, where Mr. Jeff Evans from the Financial Aid Office will be talking about how to utilize your normal financial aid packages and how to finance your study abroad program. So we hope you'll be able to join us later tonight for those sessions. And thank you again for joining us today.